Hey everybody, welcome back to Brainiac Baseball's 1982 Detroit Tigers season replay. Today's matchup is between the Detroit Tigers and the Chicago White Sox at Comiskey Park. On the mound for the Tigers today is Dave Rozema, whose record is 13-7 with a 3.47 ERA. And pitching today for the White Sox is John Matlack, whose record is 12-11 with a 4.68 ERA. Okay, we had a rough go of it yesterday. We fell to the White Sox 6-3. We were down 3-2, and Morris, who pitched horribly, we took him out. And I'm like, well, let's get some of the September call-up pitchers into the ball game. And we brought up Dave Patterson, who we got in trade with the Dodgers last year. And he had a good season for us, but then this year he's just been terrible. I gave him a 3-run home run to Rusty Kuntz, and the game was pretty much over. The only good thing was we did get Morris Madden into the ball game, who is our top prospect, and he pitched really well. He went 1 2/3 innings and had a couple strikeouts. So before we get going with today's game, I just want to address something from the Baseball Mogul Facebook page. And so if you're not really interested in me talking about the Hall of Fame real quick, you can feel free to just jump ahead like 2 minutes and we'll get right into the ball game. But on the Baseball Mogul homepage, there was a thread going about the Baseball Hall of Fame and whether or not Barry Bonds and Roger Clemens and Sosa and a bunch of the other ones deserve to get into the Hall of Fame. And there's a great debate on there. But the debate in and of itself, with everyone discussing their thoughts on who they would put in, it got me thinking about this game. If you aren't familiar, if you go to history, it has the Mogul Hall of Fame. The Player Hall of Fame. And you can take a look at it here. And after every season, players will get inducted. And of course, if they are from before the period where you started playing, they will go in on the regular time frame. Otherwise, you could have players like, for example, we'll go look at the Yankees. I think that's probably the best example. Like Stephon Weaver or Roger Slagle even, who has never played in Major League Baseball in real life, but they're on their way to a pretty fine career. Maybe Roger Slagle might someday get inducted into the Mogul Hall of Fame. But here's my theory here. Maybe something we could do with this game. When a season is over, you go to the transaction page here, and at the end, it'll show all of the players who signed contracts or went to arbitration or retired, and then it could show you the players who went into the Hall of Fame or are eligible for the Hall of Fame. And so, like, let's say Jim Otten, who is a retired player. So let's say Jim Otten retired. Should he go to the Hall of Fame? What if you, as the creator of this sim world, were allowed to make that decision and the game did not? In fact, let's choose Hal McRae. Here's a better choice. So Hal McRae retired earlier this season. Now, I look at Hal McRae, and I can clearly say that he is not a Hall of Famer by most standards. But this is your game. This is your simulation. And perhaps Hal McRae, in your eyes, much like Barry Bonds or Roger Clemens or Sammy Sosa, Curt Schilling, maybe in your eyes, they deserve to be in your Baseball Mogul Hall of Fame. So perhaps after they retire, like Hal McRae, there was a button down here. Like I could unretire Hal McRae and bring him back to the free agency. But what if there was a button down here that said, Hall of Fame, yes or no, after retirement, and you were to just click on that button, and they would either go into the Baseball Mogul Hall of Fame, and that way you're really creating your own world, which is what we're doing anyway, and maybe Hal McRae would show up as inducted, 5 years after his retirement, right? So I don't know. That's what I was trying to explain on the Baseball Mogul Facebook page, so group page. Hopefully, I explained it better here than I did on the Baseball Mogul group page on Facebook. But ultimately, all I'm trying to say is give the managers or the general manager of the computer simulation that you're using the opportunity to decide whether or not they should go in the Hall of Fame. Some are obvious. Some may not be obvious. Maybe they're borderline, like someone in real life, like Jack Morris, who I personally love. But should a player with a 390 ERA, should he go into the Baseball Hall of Fame? I mean, you could make an argument either way, but in my mind, he would be. Maybe in your mind, he wouldn't, and you wouldn't put him in. So that's what I'm trying to say. Hopefully I didn't waste too much time. We're going to get on to the ball game. If you have questions about what I'm thinking, please feel free to ask me in the comments down below, okay? All right. Phew! Hopefully that makes sense. Here is Dave Rosema pitching against the Sox today. 112 plate appearances from the current White Sox lineup, and they have a 286 batting average against them. All of the bullpen is available today, except for Dave Patterson. We are never going to use him again, ever. John Matlack on the mound for the Sox, and he's a lefty, so we have our lineup in there versus lefties. I did give Gibson the day off. Not only does he not hit lefties well anymore, he's just in a slump in general. And Hatcher and Mick and Gibby both have 19 home runs, and it's been like well over a month since either of them have hit a home run. So otherwise, it's all of our standard players, and we're going to do the lineup rundown real quick and get on to the ball game. Batting leadoff in center field is Eddie Miller. Batting second at second base is Sweet Lou Whitaker. Batting third at third base is Mickey Hatcher. Batting cleanup and catching is Lance Parrish. Batting fifth at first base is Eddie Murray. Batting sixth in right field is Kevin Bass. Batting seventh in left field is Andre Dawson. Batting eighth and DHing is Barbaro Garbey. And batting ninth, playing shortstop, is Marky Wags. Okay, John Matlack on the mound. We saw he's one of the better pitchers in the game. I mean, he's up there in strikeouts. He's up there in wins right now. In the top, well, certainly in the top 25 leaderboard. I think he was, third in strikeouts in the American League. He's got 5 complete games. His fastball, not so fast, 87 miles an hour. That is supposedly his best pitch, rated in 87. His curveball is a 79. So he's a 2-pitch pitcher, rated 85 overall, 32 years old, and he is going to be a free agent in 2 more years, 1984. So, okay. Here is the White Sox defensive alignment. They do not have anybody new in there today, so it's the same as yesterday. And Eddie Miller leading off against John Matlack. Here we go. Miller batting 178 versus lefties. Gets a base hit into left field. Do we run? Oh, it's a left-hander though. We don't. We're not gonna do that yet. We're gonna hit and run with Sweet Lou. Lou pops it up. Oh, come on. Now we will be stealing second base to get a runner into scoring position. 75% chance against Pocoroba, who's an 82 arm, and he's caught on a 71 mile an hour curveball. That is total horse shit. We all know it. 1-1 count to Mickey, and Hatcher flies out. That's so frustrating. A guy with a 90 speed gets thrown out on a 71 mile an hour curveball. We go to the bottom of the first. Here is the White Sox lineup rundown against Dave Rosema today. Batting leadoff, playing first base, is Mike Squires. Batting second at second base is Neil Fiala. Batting third in center field is Oddibe McDowell. Batting cleanup in left field is Ron Kittle. Batting fifth at shortstop is Fran Mullins. Batting sixth and catching is Biff Pocoroba. Batting seventh in right field is Rusty Kuntz. Batting eighth at third base is Buddy Bell. And batting ninth and DHing is Henry Cruz. Rosie on the mound. Oh, what did Rosie do his last time out? Let's go right to the log. He took the loss. In fact, he's lost 3 out of his last 4 decisions, with the exception being a complete game shutout. He gave up 5 runs in 6 innings. Only 3 were earned against Seattle, giving up 6 hits in 6 innings, and a couple of walks in there too. So definitely one of his worst outings of the season. Taking a look at his overall numbers, he's making his 29th start, 13-7 with that 3.47 ERA. Still very respectable. 70 Ks in 173.2 innings pitched. Opponents are batting .259. 3 complete games, 1 shutout, which we just talked about. Okay, here is the Tigers' defensive alignment for today's game. A little different in the outfield, having Dawson in left instead of right. But I feel like this is a stronger configuration. Here is the lefty, Mike Squires, 3 lefties leading off the ball game. And Rosie walks the leadoff man. Come on. We need this victory before we head into back home to face Seattle. So hopefully we're not thinking too far ahead here. As Fiala hits a ground ball to short. The only play was to first. So Squires is in scoring position with 1 down and Oddibe McDowell at the plate. And he's walked 2 batters. This is a guy who does not walk anybody. That is 30 walks in 174 innings pitched. So that is a terrible sign for what's to come today. As here's our cover boy, Ron Kittle. He was the photograph, the Getty photograph on the title card. Ooh, Rosie pulls the string on the sidearm curve and strikes out Ron Kittle. 2 down. Next up is Fran Mullins. Hasn't done much this series. Flying out to deep center field. That was much deeper than I thought. 408 feet. And we'll finish off the inning. So the 2 walks lead to naught. And we go to the top of the second. Here's Lance Parrish leading off. Pardon me. Lance grounding out to short. 1 down. Next up is Eddie Murray. And Murray base hit to right. Oh no, it's going to be caught by the right fielder, Kuntz. He's all over the place. 2 down. Murray can't buy a hit right now. And Bass strikes out. We go to the bottom of the second. We got Pocoroba, Kuntz, and Bell due up. Dave Rozema at 22 pitches after those 2 walks. Pocoroba popping it up to first. There's 1 down. Next up, Rusty Kuntz. Had the big 3-run shot yesterday. His 20th on the season. He pops out onto the outfield grass where Murray makes the play. 2 outs for Buddy Bell, and Bell hits a grounder to second. Tigers had 4 double plays yesterday. All 4 included Jody Reed, who was getting his first start at second base. Okay, we go to the top of the third. Andre Dawson leading off. And a ground ball to second. Man, we are pathetic right now at the plate. Garbey just had a cheese ball thrown up there. 69 miles an hour. That's a nice number, but that's a terrible pitch. He should have crushed it. And Marky Wags comes through. Mark Wagner. Where would we be without Mark Wagner? We're not going to go for 2. So we've got Wags at first, and Miller, who has the only other Tigers hit, comes back to the plate here. And he strikes out. I mean, how is Matlack one of the best pitchers in baseball for strikeouts when he's got 2 pitches, both imminently hittable? We go to the bottom of the 3rd. Tigers strand another runner. Okay, here's Henry Cruz leading off, batting .330 on the season. Ground ball to Murray, 1 down. Next up is Mike Squires. Ooh, a strike on the outside corner freezes Squires. Second strikeout for Rosema. 2 down. And Fiala hits a grounder in the hole at short, where Wagner makes the play. Well done. Okay, no score. Game's moving along, which is good after that long exposition about the Hall of Fame. Top of the 4th, Lou Whitaker flying out to center. Mickey Hatcher up next. Ground ball to 3rd. And big wheel. A comebacker to Matlack. This is so frustrating. We've got no hitters right now. Speaking of no hitters, another walk. So this is one of those games where they have to have a certain whip per inning, and they're not going to give any hits. They're just going to give walks, which is something that Rosema doesn't do. So that's just stupid, personally, I think. Yeah, and then Kittle hits a 2-run homer. That's why he's a cover boy. 2-0, and this game is pretty much over. Yeah, there's a hit for Mullins. Now they're getting the hits and the walks. And the route is on, folks. Off the wall in center field. We'll pull the infield in. 4 straight batters have reached base before Kuntz strikes out. Bell strike. I mean, he doesn't strike people out either. He doesn't walk people. He doesn't strike out people. He does give up home runs. Here's the left-hander, Henry Cruz. Runners in 2nd and 3rd. And that'll clear the bases. So that'll be it for Rosie. I guess we'll bring in, let's bring in Bruce Robbins. We love Bruce Robbins. Didn't have a particularly good year, but now that he's converted to a reliever, maybe he'll have a little bit more success. Nope. McDowell grounds out. So we get totally mogulled that inning. Rosie was just absolutely horrible, and we can't hit. Now we had a no-hitter going into that inning, and then all of a sudden, Rosie can't get the ball over, and when he does, he gets crushed. So, I mean, what are you going to do? And John Matlack is just striking out everybody like it's nothing. 3 hits for the Tigers as Dawson gets a hit. I guess the Sox didn't like my Hall of Fame idea. Bunch of righties coming up. We're going to pitch anyway. Who cares? Yay! Mullins grounding out to 2nd for a double play. Here's Wagner, top of the 6th. Miller. We're going to the bottom of the 6th. I mean, we did convert him to a reliever, and now we're going to make him go another inning. We got to have some other schlub to bring in there. Let's bring in Jerry Uger. What's up, Uger? This is his second relief appearance this year. He did have 2 strikeouts in an inning against Seattle. There's no point bringing in our heavy, our best pitchers. We'll just we'll take the loss here as Kuntz hits a double into the gap. Ground ball by Bell. Kuntz holds, strikeout of Cruz. Like I truly don't believe. I feel like a lot of the time it's so predetermined that this is just a button masher game, like any other first-person shooter or whatever. If you're not allowed to actually use strategy, because for some reason John Matlack is the Cy Young today. So, what can you do other than just push the buttons? It doesn't matter who you put in as pitcher. Unfortunately, the second that Eddie Miller got thrown out in the first inning, the game was over. That's kind of sad. Okay, we're going to bring in Morris Madden for his second appearance. This is our stud of the future here. And we have a whole minor league system full of great pitchers. We got David Cohn. We got Doug Drabeck coming. We have Mark Leiter. We have one other guy too. I can't think of who. David Wells. Fiala grounding it back to Madden. Pop up. And here's Ron Kittle. Had that 2-run shot. I think that was his 25th on the year, right? So he's 2 behind the league leader, which is signs. We're not even going to get someone to 30. That's probably my fault as much of anything, because of changing the stadium effects, which I think for the most part did well. Maybe I'll have a special at the end of the season where I compare the actual stats from that year from this year to what they did in real life. As Wagner flies out to left. So Dawson hit a home run, which who cares? Good job by Madden. And we'll bring in Brian Kelly, who had a terrible outing his first time back out. Gave up, he gave up 3 2/3, and then he did pretty bad against Seattle as well. I guess a lot of our pitchers did. We'll give him another chance here to get the 9th. It's Fran Mullins. Nice curveball, but Mullins gets a base hit. Maybe Kelly's reached his limit of effectiveness as Biff grounds into double play. We'll take it. Kuntz strikes out. All right. This is the ball game here. Here's Eddie Miller. Eddie Miller, that was it. The game was over in the first inning when Miller got thrown out, stealing on a curveball. That's when you knew it was over. There was absolutely no chance. There's a strikeout and a ground ball. So Tigers lose 5-1. There we go. Slight delay. What does that do to us? Are we back in? No, we're still in first place. This game's not going to separate us at any point. It's going to come down to a half game on the last day, which is fun. Seattle gets a win. Kansas City 6 games back. Let's take a look at the National League. That's actually changing up. And the Mets. Freddie's Mets back in first by a full game. St. Louis, Philadelphia hanging around. Let's take a look at the headlines. That was yesterday. Mariners had to lead over the Royals. So I guess they did get a game in there. Mariners expand their lead in the West, a 2-1 squeaker over the Orioles. Orioles batters struggled against Roy Branch. He's been good. He gave up 1 run in now. So he threw a complete game, I assume. Okay, and then it tells you what the 2 of the losing team's hitters did. Let's take a look at the scouting report on him. So he's 15-8, and that is the league leading 2.77 ERA. He's got 8 complete games now. He could be an outside winner for the Cy Young. Maybe not even outside. Maybe he's inside. Maybe he's standing indoors with his coat on. Okay, let's see what else we got here. Yeah, okay, we don't care about that. Let's take a look at transactions. Okay, so here's we go. Randy Elliott retires, right? So if in my scenario, you could be able to click on Randy Elliott if he wasn't already inducted into the Hall of Fame in this game because of his statistics. You could review it and come to your own conclusions. And then down here it would say Hall of Fame, yes or no, and you could click on that guy. Hello, Bert Abbey, and he would go into the Hall of Fame, which you could find on the history page up here. That's what I suggest, and that way this game can even be more tailored to our own personal preferences. Let's pull up the box score and get out of here. Tigers lose 5-1. There's I guess we'll give player of the game to Dawson. He did hit a home run, but that's all he does. He just hits home runs that don't matter anymore. When the game is so far away, no chance of coming back, and he hits a home run. That was his 14th. And at least his OPS is finally over 600, so we're going to give him a little shine today. Dave Rozema had a no-hitter through 3, and then he couldn't get out of the 4th. Walking 3 and giving up 5 hits. So a whip at 2. The big shot being the home run from Ron Kittle. And the bullpen comes in and does what the bullpen does. So, all right. Well, that was really not a lot of fun for me. We'll come back tomorrow with Game 1 of the Seattle series back home. That's going to be fun, win or lose. That's a good team. Until then, everyone, have a great night.